welcome back to Aus Football Talk. I'm Cody Ojeda, taking you through what is happening in Australian football. And as usual, there is a lot to talk about. International football's back. Australia face Venezuela and Colombia. City picked up their second win of their Champions League campaign. And the A-League are thinking outside the box to step up their matchday experience.
Was to throw a paper plane
How
little red
far was it?
bucket in the middle of the... It's about 50 metres, mate.
Nah,
so you need to be
they're taking
up
the
so
piss.
high and throwing it down.
And it was $25,000.
And if you land it in there, it's 25 grand.
That has to be one of the biggest stitch-ups. I don't think one got even within 20 metres of the bucket. But moving on, City have begun their Asian Women's Champions League campaign. They're playing in a centralised location in Vietnam for the group stage and play Ho Chi Minh City, Stallion Laguna, and last night played and smacked Lion City Sailors 5-0. Unlike their male counterparts, our prospects in Asia for the women's are actually really good. The A-League Women's is currently the highest ranked women's league in the continent by coefficient, and it's off the back of City's run last season where they were a dodgy disallowed goal, a really late equaliser from the spot, and a penalty shootout away from winning the competition, which sounds like a lot, but not so much when you consider they needed all of that to stop them winning it. And you can tell it stung.
It obviously got called, not a goal, so kind of sucks. But
are you anti-VAR?
After that game, yeah.
I really can't blame her for it. That match was borderline daylight robbery. City this season, though, have a really good chance, again, to go all the way, and maybe even one step further this time. There's been minimal turnover in their squad, which is a positive, and are going into the campaign with a vendetta.
Champions League as well fell just short. Does that increase the frustration and fuel heading into this year?
Yeah, 100%. That was heartbreaking. I think anyone who watched that game would be heartbroken for us, but I think it makes us more hungry again. Such a good tournament, that one, so we definitely want to do well in that one again.
Considering there's almost 2 million AUD up for grabs for winning this tournament, I'd be doing anything I can to do just that. Their 5-0 win last night was their biggest in the competition, so signs are positive. We rarely see Australian sides go into Champions League games as favourites, so it's a journey worth following. That, of course, comes with the expectation of competing well, but nonetheless, it should be an exciting watch. Staying intercontinental, we've had this across the Pacific.
There's a deep passion for football, a strong commitment to our member associations, and a relentless drive for professionalization both on and off the pitch. Now that commitment is stronger than ever with the launch of the OFC Professional League in 2026, a game-changing step towards elevating football across Oceania.
The OFC Pro League has had its inaugural clubs announced. It's a new league set up across Oceania to bring professional football to the region. The teams are coming from New Zealand, including Auckland FC, Solomon Islands, Tahiti, Vanuatu, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, and oddly, Australia, with South Melbourne announced as one of the 8 inaugural sides. The OFC, withstanding the A-League's New Zealand-based sides, is the only confederation without a single professional league. It left Auckland City out to dry when they went to the Club World Cup, and the discrepancy is obvious when OFC nations outside of New Zealand go to Youth World Cups. So the aim and goal of the league is clear.
Underscoring the challenges posed by geographic isolation, limited resources, and fierce international competition. Now, a groundbreaking development promises to reshape this landscape. The OFC Professional League, set to launch in 2026, aims to bridge the gap between Oceania and the rest of the footballing world.
It's an important step for football in the region. There's a lot of catching up to do with the rest of the world. While the league may go against traditional football ethos, if this is what it takes to set the sport in the Pacific on the right path, it's one that should be taken. And Australia may have a role to play in its success too. We've seen Vanuatu announce some Aussie signings. Considering these are our neighbours, more players moving to these clubs isn't out of the question. But considering us leaving the OFC almost 20 years ago significantly dented the Federation's quality, if there's anything we can do to help this be a success, I think we should do it. Not to say we're wrong to leave, everything for us since has proven we made the right choice, but it doesn't mean it didn't impact the Federation. We're hosting one of the hub locations, but even if there's a partnership to how this and the A-League operate, if we have a visa allocation for OFC nations that allow graduates from the league to come to the A-League, if we have the opportunity, I think we should. That's also a rough idea, please don't test me on how it would work. But all of that aside, the idea of professional football coming to Oceania is enticing. There's countries in the region with strong football followings, and since Infantino's come into his role at FIFA, there's been a focus on bringing the region up to scratch, and their involvement with this project should hopefully ensure its success.
Off the pitch, it's all the shared vision of wanting to help develop and professionalise football in the region. And so what's been really special, we've got FIFA in town to present the sort of global knowledge and the learnings they've had across the world, but then also the local knowledge exchange from some of the established clubs, and then also hearing more about what's going on in the context of all the clubs in the region.
Moving on. The main topic for this episode is the Australian Championship. This weekend sees the final round of the group stage play out, and there's been a lot to take in from the competition. Brilliant players, great goals, handbags, squirrel grips. There's not much we haven't seen, although I don't know if anything tops this stunt from Sydney United's opening match.
Pretty sure it was subbed. It's not the kind of long throw we're expecting later on in this game. The Sydney United supporters in no hurry to restore the ball. Now we've got a multi-ball situation as it's lofted in, and oh my goodness!
The best part of this is when that happened, United were winning with barely any time left. Since then, they ended up drawing that match and have lost 4 on the bounce since. I'm not saying this guy is the reason Sydney United are where they are, but I'm not big on coincidences. The Championship is by far the biggest adjustment to the Australian football ecosystem since the introduction of the Australia Cup, or then FFA Cup. After the announcement of a national second tier in 2023, it's allowed us a chance to see how the foundation clubs could fare at a higher level to the NPL. And it's safe to say we've learnt a fair bit. So today, we're talking about the Australian Championship's inaugural season, what's been positive, what needs work, and what we can take away from this season so far. And starting with the positives, one clear one stands out.
Those that followed along, I was up in New South Wales the past weekend, and I've been following around Victoria for the last couple of weeks. I don't think I've been to a single game where I was really that bored or not entertained. I've been to multiple great games now.
The on-field product has been really good from a majority of teams. Good enough to say the playing quality is there to sustain a professional second division in Australia. Anyone who's engaged with NPL football may have already understood this, but the Championship is showcased not just on a wider platform, but in a way that also shows how the league will look down the line.
That Marconi-Heidelberg game you're alluding to was a really great example of strip away everything about the competition, all the excitement, all the buzz, all the kind of journeys of the teams. But when you put 11 players on the park against 11 and you show up for a game of football, that was probably one of the highest quality matches we've seen.
The actual quality of the matches is an improvement from the NPL, which is a positive sign considering it is still NPL teams. It could be the better atmosphere, more riding in each match, or something else driving this, but it still feels different in a good way. And speaking of feeling different, the matchday experience is noticeably enhanced. There's more matchday activations, halftime engagement, including Marconi, where I got involved in the action.
One of our mates from Interstate, Cody Ojeda, he was involved in something at Marconi. They did something very interesting, which I've never ever thought of. Pretty sure they had a coffee percolator on top of a podium and they had to kick it off with a soccer ball. And if you kick it, you win.
Look, I'd show you the footage, but one, it doesn't exist, and two, trust me, it's not worth watching, as Antonis pointed out.
I did see they were trying to kick something off. I wasn't sure
it's
what
a percolator.
Cody didn't win, I know that.
Cheers, mate. But the point is, as much as some clubs may have done this decently in the past, there's still a clear improvement, and it does improve the stadium experience from a regular NPL match. Except for one club, who thankfully are doing what they've always done.
3, 2, 1, go!
Look, I know this is for kids, and that it's a chance for them to have fun and maybe win something. But when I say there is very little I wouldn't do to have a go at this, I mean it. I want to do it so bad. Wollongong have that at most, if not all, NPL match days, but it's still fun and cool to see in the Championship too. Last point on the positives, I've really enjoyed the social media engagement and the different forms of content they've provided. Their social media personnel at most matches, the YouTube watch-alongs are a lot of fun. There's a concise effort to engage in the community, which I think is really important. Where fans have been let down has probably been some of the off-field aspects, for a range of reasons. One of the earliest complaints was the quality of the broadcast, which in my opinion was a bit unfair, and this probably sums it up best.
And like my team in Italy is a Serie B team, so sometimes I get a stream and I'll watch them. And people don't understand in Australia, like this is second division football. Like if you watch Serie B, if you watch second division in Spain and stuff, it's smaller grounds.
100%.
You don't have 50,000 at the stadium. It's smaller crowds. It's 1 to 3 cameras. Like
100%.
it's pretty good for a second division.
The reality is this is a second tier competition. It's not going to be at the same level as an A-League broadcast. The fact that there's more than one camera angle is already a positive coming out of the NPL space. Some of the grounds have also been a point of contention in terms of playing surface. Wollongong, while the stadium itself has been good, the grass has been questionable. And Spirit's playing surface too has raised concerns.
This game, I witnessed a horrific injury caused entirely by the state of the playing surface. I want to wish Luke Diego a speedy recovery, but this is completely unacceptable.
Whether the pitch quality is genuinely at fault or not is another discussion altogether, but it does raise a valid question about synthetic surfaces for these types of competitions. I am personally not a fan of pro football on artificial turf, but I do appreciate maintaining a grass surface is difficult for some clubs. Advertising and promotion of the league has also left a bit to be desired, not for a lack of trying. Like I said earlier, the social media side of things has been very active, but still, while social media campaigns are great, 90% of the time you're just going to reach people that will probably have seen your stuff anyway, which is why I really liked this from Avondale. There's no reason why we can't also be traditional with advertising and make sure the league is put in positions where you can't miss it. Overall though, those areas where the league falls short are quite easy fixes. When it comes to advertising and promotion, clubs do need to think a bit more strategically and up the ante on it. Frankly, whether they do or not is up to them. How much they put in will ultimately show how serious they are about this competition. The whole idea behind this at the moment is to see what clubs can actually step up from the NPL into a professional level. And we have seen clubs improve off this base. In New South Wales, West Apia are probably the best example. They've played out of a stadium that allows them to bring more people through the gates, but also doesn't compromise on atmosphere and has a good playing surface to boot. They've put the hard yards into their matchday experience. Viva La Diva and Evangeline Victoria have performed at games. They brought Sushi Mango up from Melbourne. And on the pitch, there's a clear vision to ensure fans want to come back.
Sexy football on today. Sexy football on again today. And message for your fans.
That's exactly that, and we don't mean to say sexy football in a way to discredit the game. We all love this game, but it's genuinely to excite the fans, to give them something to come back for, to say, oh, I just saw Saya Kambiashi roll it past him, I just saw Presley turn and hit it bottom corner with his left peg, I saw Drayden hunt someone down, turn in one movement and play a pass. I saw Cameron Fong tackle 3 people in 3 seconds. It's all sexy football.
For all the things that clubs do off the pitch, it's surprisingly underrated how effective just being a fun team to watch is for fans to want to return. There's clubs like South Melbourne and Preston as well who have consistently shown their matches can be a draw themselves, and this competition is simply about providing a more attractive spectacle than a regular NPL match. Other clubs have tried definitely. Olympic moved to Cogra for the championship to provide a higher quality facility for fans and players. Unfortunately, it's just a touch too big. And then you have Sydney United.
They deserve better, man. Sydney United fans are so good. I think what's a shame is that we've wanted this second division for so long, and I feel like one of the most vocal clubs was Sydney United. And
100%.
when there's money and stuff, like that's obviously stuff that's above my knowledge, and I'm sure there's stuff that we don't understand. But just looking at it, so as they touched on it there, it's like we've been waiting so long to have this second division, and this is what you produce.
Unfortunately, they've been one of the hot topics of the campaign for all the wrong reasons. Their crowds are abysmal. The squad building has proven to be terrible. It turns out when you let a bunch of senior players go and then don't replace them properly, it actually does some damage to how you perform. Who would have thought? Look, before anyone says anything about what I'm saying here, I'm well versed in what the perception of the club is by their most hardcore fans right now. And things haven't been made easier by the stringent police requirements for their games both home and away. But the vibe around the club right now is plain and simply awful. For a club that does see itself as one of Australia's biggest and most historic, for this to be the showing from them on their return to a national stage is really disappointing. And for this to be the words from the man representing them right now is a kick in the guts for supporters.
Halfway through the group stage now, how do you pick the guys up? Because obviously you need to start getting wins pretty quickly, starting with the round 4 game.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't coach. This sounds dumb for wins. I just want the effort. Eventually things turn. We're obviously still trying to win. That's a given. But as long as they work hard like they did today, things turn around.
I'm not a Sydney United fan, but if my club blew a lead at home in a match we were favourites for, after getting demolished by a rival the week before, after building a squad that is well below expectations, and I heard my manager talking about not focusing on the result, I'd be pissed. Unfortunately, for all the talk of clubs showing they can step up to a professional level, Sydney United have shown in all aspects they're probably the furthest away from being ready for professional football. Saying that, there's probably only 3 clubs that have really shown they can operate in a professional setting, and that is South Melbourne, Preston Lions and West Apia. Wollongong may be able to also, but that's based off the fact that they're in an untapped market and have shown potential to engage it, so there's still an asterisk against them for that argument. There's a lot we can take away from this tournament already, both good and bad. The quality of football is there, as I said earlier, to justify pushing for a second professional tier, and showing the gap to the A-League is extremely close in this regard.
I see that the talent level, I think it's always been here, but now it's getting clearer that the gap is shutting, like you saw with Heidelberg's run. Some of the results, some of the games and the skill on show has really impressed me.
On top of that, certain clubs can provide a good match day experience, and some have shown they deserve to be beyond the NPL space. As a league itself though, it's certainly debatable if it's been successful so far, and that's partly because there's no set benchmark on what success is meant to look like. Some fans are happy for any sort of improvement from the NPL, others were expecting a product very close if not on par with the A-League, and if you're in that latter group, I can imagine you're very disappointed. The crowds have, on average, hovered around the high 1000s, which is tricky to justify setting up a professional competition with, particularly at a second tier level. But by the same token, it's difficult to expect more than that based on the platform they were coming from. NPL games usually sit in the hundreds, so it does show signs of life in the competition. The biggest takeaway from the championship this season will be that we can see exactly what we're working with for the league, how far off we are realistically from a full home and away season, and both the readiness for professional football from the 8 foundation clubs and the level of talent across the entire country. And even if the result of that is that we're still years away from a proper league format, Australian football is better off for this competition existing, and that's why its long-term success is so important. The ideal end goal is a fluid promotion and relegation setup with the A-League, but to do that, there needs to be a solid base for relegated clubs to fall into, and the better the Oz Championship does, and the more it can grow year on year, the closer we are to achieving this. The final series will show further what the bigger match days in a full season will hopefully be like. But even when the tournament rolls back around next year, it's important it's supported well. Not just by the fans, but also the clubs themselves. They need to ensure they're putting out a team local fans want to get behind, create an environment that people want to come to, and give them an experience that makes them want to return. It's easier said than done, of course. But for the good of yourselves, of the championship, and of Australian football, you need to find a way. And as more clubs do that and find their feet, the closer we come to seeing a proper football pyramid in Australia. And also, the closer we are to potentially seeing this in the A-League. That's the show. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you're enjoying this and you want more. Get around the socials too, The Common Football Fan on TikTok and Instagram. I'm Cody Ojeda. This has been Aus Football Talk. We'll be back next week, so I will see you very soon.